The Chicago Bulls take on the Minnesota Timberwolves later today. And now they have an opportunity to potentially get a closer look at some potential trade pieces if they are willing to do business with the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're going to talk about that, give you guys an update on Josh Giddey. And then I got to let Bulls fans know I'm proud of y'all. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shot Boys podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down for today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in, ready to talk some Bulls basketball, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. And on a positive note, we just a couple days away for celebrating Chicago's own Derrick Rose. We got a couple days before we get there, and that starts with tonight when we go out there and take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Just before we talk about some potential trade pieces that we might have a chance to look at, we got to give you an update on Josh Giddey. Right now, the update for Josh Giddey is that he's listed as questionable for tonight's game. Just a couple days ago, he was sent down to the Windy City Bulls. I assume that was for practice purposes. They recalled him up, and then right before the Clippers game, they ruled him out, as it appears that they're taking a precautionary, they're looking at this thing cautionally. So they're trying to figure that thing out with Josh Giddey. I'm hoping that we can see him back on the basketball court as soon as possible. And it sucks for him because I think that he was playing at an all-star level, not necessarily saying that he was going to be listed as a starter, but potentially making it in as a reserve. But with all the time that he's missed, I think those dreams of making the all-star game is just out the window unless some injuries happen or some guys sit out and then they just throw him in there. But as of right now, as it currently stands, I think Josh Giddey missed out on an opportunity. But hey, injuries happen. It is what it is. And there's your update. And one of the biggest questions that I'm asking with Josh Giddey coming back is, how does that influence the rotations over the last few games without Josh Giddey? We've seen a nice amount of minutes get distributed to guys off the bench in like Ayo Dosunmu, Kevin Huerter, and Trey Jones or whatnot. And then you also seen Billy Donovan lean on some double big lineups, give some opportunities for guys like Montes Buzelis in the last game who played 30 minutes. So we're going to be interested to see how Billy Donovan goes out there and mix and match his rotations, because we also seen games to where we seen Dalen Terry out there. We seen Julian Phillips out there. And those are the guys that typically receive DNPs when all the guys are present for the Chicago Bulls. So it's going to be an interesting thing to look out for. It's going to be something that we're going to keep our eyes on to see how Billy Donovan will go out there and set his rotations. And then we'll see what type of impact Josh Giddey can have coming right back into the thick of things, while the Chicago Bulls are currently just one game under 500 at 21-22. So we'll see. But in that matchup later today, the Chicago Bulls do take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this is a matchup that I'm interested in because of all the trade talk that has been surrounding the Chicago Bulls. At one time, we heard that the Minnesota Timberwolves were solely interested in Kobe White. And then just a couple days ago, we heard that now they are looking at Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, and now Trey Jones as well, because they are looking for backcourt help to kind of help their team down the stretch of games, to help out guys like Anthony Edwards and all the other guys that are a part of their core to go out there and win basketball games. Some of those players that the Chicago Bulls can look at, I know this is probably a long shot because the Minnesota Timberwolves just drafted him. That's John Behringer. I don't necessarily know if the Wolves want to move off of him just right now, but there are some other names that are out there as well. Guys like Mike Conley, who I feel like if we're looking at Mike Conley, and I'm looking at Minnesota Timberwolves Twitter, they are not really happy with this guy. He is an older guy. He can come in and provide some veteran leadership, but I feel like, in no disrespect, he'll just be another Javon Carter, a guy that's on the bench, giving you some some tips and stuff on what to do and how to carry yourself, and then occasionally come in and provide you with some relief minutes if there is a blowout like we seen in the Clippers game. No disrespect to Mike Conley, he's had a hell of a career, but if we look at what he's done this season, there is a reason why they're looking for backcourt help and not necessarily leaning on the veteran point guard. So no disrespect, I respect everything he's done for this game, but at this moment in time, that's just somebody I personally would not be interested in, even if he is included as a salary filler. That's just how I'm looking at it. Another guy that they can look at is Dante DiVincenzo. If we remember one time at one point, we seen Dante DiVincenzo be thrown out there in, let's just say, a mock trade for Kobe White. It was Dante DiVincenzo, Terrence Shannon Jr. with the first round pick. Me personally, I like Dante DiVincenzo. I think he has a hell of a game. He can add on to a winning basketball team because he shoots the ball pretty well from the 3-point line, and he's a solid defender. And I think that he can bring some of that toughness to a team. I remember once I believe he left the Golden State Warriors. No, he left the New York Knicks and was going crazy on them. He left the New York Knicks and was going crazy on them. That's the type of toughness I like my players to have. We need a loose screw in Chicago, man. We don't got one of those right now. I think Montes Buzelis, he got the talent, but he ain't got the loose screw right now, at least from what I've seen. And what I like to see the Chicago Bulls is to have a loose screw. You know what I'm saying? A Dylan Brooks, a Isaiah Stewart, a Draymond Green, somebody to get on your damn nerves if you're playing against them. But I'm not saying Dante DiVincenzo is that, but I do believe that he brings some type of toughness to your basketball team. Probably not a full, complete loose screw, but he got some toughness up at that to where you might have to try to consider tightening the screws. You know what I'm saying? But hey, another intriguing player that the Chicago Bulls have an opportunity to look at is Rob Dillingham. The Minnesota Timberwolves took him in 2024 draft, and as it currently stands, he does not play much over there. And to be honest with you, we don't really know what he can or cannot do. Have we seen some glimpses and maybe a couple games where you be like, okay, this kid's kind of crafty with his handle. Okay, maybe he can go out there and shoot a little bit. But over the last 10 games, he's only played in 4 games and only scores 1.5 points. But he is shooting 50% from the three. I don't even know how to take that. I don't even know how to take that if we being honest when it comes down to Rob Dillingham. But it is a valuable option to see if you can grab a young player like that to see if maybe you can bring something out of him. I'm not going to go down the road with Billy Donovan and his coaching decisions. I'm going to leave that alone, at least for right now. But it is intriguing just to see if you can get a young player like Rob Dillingham to come in, if that's what you want, included in a deal, and see what he could potentially bring to the team. Yeah, it's not the most intriguing, but it's something that you will keep your eyes on if he does receive minutes tonight. Now, it'll be a bummer if we don't get to see him play tonight, but it is what it is. It's something to throw out there just to be like, hey, if he does play, what will we see on the basketball court? It'll be interesting. Hopefully we get to see him out there. But the way that my people from Minnesota have been talking about him, yeah, a lot of people in Minnesota have been calling for more playing time for this young fella. Some of them have been saying, nah, we ain't really rocking with him. Let's go out there and try to trade him away for somebody else to come in and provide that backcourt help that we're in need of. And then last player who is not going to play, but I will mention him anyway, Terrence Shannon Jr., he is out for this game. He won't be playing. I wish we would be able to see him. I remember, was it last year? He came in and played a big part in the playoff game. So he has some type of experience. I think that he has some talent that you can definitely dive into. But again, we won't be seeing him on there, so I won't be talking much about him. And we'll see. We'll see. I don't necessarily know if there's anybody else on the Bulls' radar if they are going to do business with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But it is intriguing, just to say the least, for the names that we did throw out there, especially if you're considering, hey, Dante DiVincenzo, Rob Dillingham, and all that stuff too. Because Joe Cowley recently reported, and you take it for what you will, that the Minnesota Timberwolves are willing to throw in Rob Dillingham in a trade if one does come to fruition for both sides. They are willing to part ways with him if that's what the Chicago Bulls want to do, especially with giving up a guard and then receiving a guard. But I think the Chicago Bulls really like their guards if I'm looking on from the outside looking in. But obviously, some of us want the Chicago Bulls to make moves so we can stack draft capital. And if you want to go out there and stack draft capital, in my personal opinion, you might have to part ways with some of your guards or one of your guards just so you can say, hey, now let's start stockpiling these draft picks so we could take a few more bites at the apple. But hey, y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Who are you looking forward to watching later on when the Chicago Bulls take on the Minnesota Timberwolves? Let me know down below. But hey, before we get up out of here, I just want to say, Chicago Bulls fans, I am proud of y'all. But we still got more work to do. The Chicago Bulls, for the first time in a long time, are not ranked in the top 10 of merchandise sales. I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of y'all. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. The last time I bought some Bulls merch was probably over the summer. Nah, probably a couple months ago. I just be even keel and say that I bought Bulls merch over a couple months ago from Burlington Coat Factory. It was a nice ass sweater. I still haven't even worn it, but I got it for the low. It was a licensed stuff, so I had to buy it. I bought it. I ain't gonna lie to you now. But I say all that to say, let's continue to apply pressure to this organization. If the organization want us to continue to support them in merchandise sales and ticket sales, they have to produce a product that is worth supporting. This city deserves so much. We saw and we was on the Bears' backside because they had to get their stuff together. They had to get the coaching decision right. They had to get the GM stuff right. They had to get the quarterback and the team, the makeup of the team right. And that they did. And look how electric the city was while the Chicago Bears were going through their time through the regular season. And look how rambunctious it was in the playoffs. Crazy work. The Chicago Bulls have not done any of those things to make us believe in that. Hell, even the Chicago Blackhawks is giving us something to cheer for right now. And I don't even really watch hockey. But I give credit to y'all for applying pressure, at least affecting the dollars. You want to make change with the Chicago Bulls, you got to affect the dollars. Just a couple days ago, they released a report saying that there could be some pressure on the Bulls front office. Okay, cool. But we don't want to hear that it could be some pressure. Show us that there is some pressure by these guys going out there and taking a different approach when it comes to the NBA trade deadline and how they approach the offseason. Enough of this, we want to be competitive stuff. Everybody in Chicago wants the Bulls to be competitive. But on the flip side of that, or to per se add on to that being competitive stuff, we want to win. We don't want to keep going to the play-in and losing. We at least the next step for us is to get it in a playoff series and win the playoff series first. We understand we can't go from a play-in team to a championship contender overnight. We understand that, at least us smart Bulls fans. And if you're a homer, cool, I'm with it. I rock with it. But then the reality still sets in and be like, yeah, the best that we could do right now is let's win a playoff series. I think the Bulls should be trying to take those steps to meet that necessary goal, and then that will be considered a step forward in the right direction. We don't want to keep hearing all this competitive stuff just to get bounced out in the play-in. You get us hyped up, and then we get stomped in the play-in and get sent home, and all is for nothing. Enough of this. Enough of this. So kudos to y'all for applying some pressure, because for the first time in a long time, the Chicago Bulls are not in the top 10 in merchandise sales. I think it goes back to 2020. 2020. So we here now. Let's see if these guys understand that, bro, we need a winner in Chicago if y'all want our dollars and y'all want our support. Otherwise, we're going to keep rocking the same old merch we bought years ago. We ain't going to keep going out there and buying jerseys for guys that ain't going to show up. We ain't going to keep going out there and buying merchandise for a team that will not put a good product on the basketball court. We're tired of this. So kudos to y'all. Shout out to y'all. Let's continue to apply pressure because we deserve better in Chicago. The city is great when the sports are great, and we are one of the largest markets in any sport, and we deserve for these owners and these GMs and these coaches and these players to understand that if you win in Chicago, we're going to ride with you against anybody. We're going to ride with you against anybody. That's it. That's it. No matter what team you talking about in Chicago, if that team is winning, we rocking with them. Can't nobody else on the outside tell us what our flaws are. We be rocking. We be delusional. But at the end of the day, we still got to keep it buck. Yeah, like amongst each other, we'll be like, yeah, bro, this player, he can't really do that right now. But when the ops come in, we be like, oh, hell no, y'all ain't about to talk about woo-woo, da-da-da-da. Nah, y'all ain't about to do that. So, Chicago, good job. Let's keep applying this pressure and let's keep the Bulls in place and put them on notice and put the flame to the ass. Let's light up the hot chairs because this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's not good enough. But hey, that's enough of me rambling. I just want to give y'all kudos, man. Y'all been out there showing out, going crazy. But hey, that is it for me today, man. Before y'all get up out of here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you always see red. Y'all already know. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
Cognac.